Hello, fellow armchair Imagineers. It's your podcasting compatriot, Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And Jacob Wile, too.
And together, we make up the Big Podcast 3!
Woo! Ba la la la.
Fa la 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 la. All right. Oh man, guys. So I unfortunately had to sit out last week's episode, which of course was only the second appearance of Mr. Stan Lee. So I just want to acknowledge that, guys. I'm sorry that I had to sit out Stan Lee's second appearance. It was a good episode. I was not feeling great that night. So these two kindly took over for me in my stead. And gentlemen, I thank you for that. But we're back. We're back to being the Big Podcast 3. I was there in spirit. I was literally there to push the stop broadcast and end broadcast button. So, you know.
What'd you think of last week's anyway?
I thought it was good. I kind of agreed with all your guys' points. I don't even necessarily think you guys needed me there because you guys kind of pretty much recycled. Like, it had a lot of potential. I think it was stifled by a couple things in particular. I don't want to spend too much time on last week's. Of course, the big memorable standout thing with last week's was the great scene with Stan Lee. That's kind of the big talking point. Of course, Kentucky Kaiju himself was a lot of fun, but like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on last week.
All right.
So Rivalry Week. What do you guys think of this one?
I love this episode so much.
Really?
I love this one.
Okay. Nice. Wow.
I think it's so good. I mean, honestly, I gotta tell you, it's still impossible for me. It's neck and neck, but I mean, this and the Aunt Casa, this and Food Fight are absolutely my favorites of the show so far. I really love this one.
Jacob, what about you?
Well, it's definitely up there. I mean, I will say it's up there for me. Along with Food Fight, and what was the other one we covered recently that we all really enjoyed?
The Wasabi one. I'm trying to think of the
Killer App.
Killer App. Yes. I still have this. I would say maybe this is number 3 for me. I'm not as over the moon about it as Dragon is, but that's totally fine. That's cool. Subjectivity and all that.
I mean, I still think probably Killer App is probably the best one so far. I'd probably tie this.
I would agree with you, Jacob. I would agree with you.
A Killer App's solid. Don't get me wrong.
I think the thing with Killer App is that
and I'd probably tie this one with Food Fight.
Let's not even mince words here. Killer App just has an awesome villain plot.
True.
All right.
And I'd probably tie this one with Food Fight.
I would tie this one with Food Fight as well.
Yep.
All right. So, of course, I think maybe, unless you guys disagree, maybe a good place to kind of start with here is the Obake of it all.
Yeah, I'm still amazed by.
I'm in love with this guy now. I mean, it took me a few episodes of build up, but this guy is, every time he's on screen now, he's just got that kind of that mix of charisma and menace that I love in a villain. I'm eating him up right now.
Kind of
reminds me of Khan from Star Trek. Wrath of Khan.
Let the man speak.
I was intrigued by him from the get-go, and again, I always had that hope that he could be kind of that Ra's al Ghul type, that really formidable kind of a Moriarty or a Ra's al Ghul type. And I think this episode proves that he absolutely is that. I love it.
But the cool thing about it is that he's got all these funny disguises, and he's almost like if Dr. Draken was scary and confident. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he's not afraid.
Actually, scarily good at his job.
He's not afraid to get his hands dirty, and I respect that. And he's really good at it. It's like what if Peter Sellers, was a supervillain and he was terrifying? It was Obake, and I think we finally had it.
To be fair, we did kind of see Peter Sellers as a comedic supervillain in Doctor Strangelove to a certain extent.
Oh yeah, but I mean, this is like a more serious version of that. But yeah,
Yeah.
but seriously, so we finally got a pronunciation on we've been saying Obake. Apparently, it's Obake. So
I
yeah.
know. Thank God they laid that out for us, man. I was so
To
thankful
be fair,
about that.
we've never really gotten his name.
I know we've never gotten it. Like we've never gotten it. Like us three have never even agreed on a pronunciation for the podcast. I don't think.
Well, eventually we settled on Obake. We were still wrong, so now it's Obake. Anyway, so Obake, he was on fire again. Disguises the manipulation. He's in the field. He knows again. And we built this up so well. Like, we saw him studying the Big Hero 6 thing, the personality types, like he knows them. And again,
that's why every episode now I'm more excited for the show. I feel like this show's finally coming into its own where it feels like everything is starting to play into each other. And I'm really stoked for that because Jacob, of course, Dragon, we hit a monumental episode in DuckTales. And I recommend you catch up on DuckTales, Dragon.
Oh, heck yeah.
I heard some buzz about this one, so I'm not surprised.
I recommend, I mean, especially with the season finale coming up, I'd recommend a binge watch.
Right. But yeah, with Obake, I've been saying this about the character, and this is like more proof in the pudding to the nth degree, and I love it, that he still has not had one setback, and I find that fascinating. He's a villain who has not been defeated yet. Like, again, any defeat is like not like his main.
Like I said, scarily confident Dr. Draken.
Especially in this episode, considering he actually gave it back. Like they didn't. Like he didn't lose. He didn't lose. Pretty much they did.
He scanned all the pages with the glasses and everything. It's like officially this episode, basically the image you see before you folks. Officially, he's introduced to the Big Hero 6, and it's like grand entry into like now that he's on the radar.
As soon as I saw this root image you picked out for me, Dragon, I was like, good choice. You picked well, sir.
He's so confident. He knows exactly what he's doing, and we have this kind of vaguely. It's kind of a lethal riddle gimmick, and I thought that again didn't read off as like a Riddler knockoff. It felt original somehow. It just felt like here's the thing that sold it for me. Here's the thing I love about it most. My favorite thing about it, and basically it's from this scene essentially. My favorite thing in the whole episode. My favorite thing with Obake. I think my favorite thing with Obake, period, aside from the fact that he hasn't been defeated, like he hasn't had a setback, is the fact that I love that he did all of this, like this little riddle gimmick of like he put them all in like these things they had to figure out because he needed 1 minute to read. That's what I love about this guy. It's like he just needed 1 minute, and that's all he needed to stall. And they had like this elaborate riddle thing of their own rooms and everything that again he had from all the data he compiled. And like, wow, he's so prepared, and he can get away with it all. He's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. So let's get to our main plots. Again, we could sit here all one day talking about how great.
Sure. I thought it was important for the hype of it all to not bury the lead on Obake.
One thing I like about him though is like he's actually challenging their intelligence. Like he knows they're smart, knows he can figure it out.
He's kind of better. It's almost like a Scott Snyder villain. I'm digging it so much. He's like, yes, he's making them better. Yeah.
But he knows how to outwit them at every turn.
Absolutely. Again, he's like the ultimate kind of teacher foe in a way. It's great.
Okay. So outside of Obake, I would say the second headline of this episode is pretty much the first Honey Lemon-centric episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we had that, the big roommates too, and it was kind of her and Go-Go, but I think she was in focus on that.
This is pretty much the first Honey Lemon solo.
I'll give you that. Yeah, Honey Lemon definitely.
But granted, Go-Go does play a good, solid supporting lead in this. I
think we gave everyone a good balance of screen time.
Honestly, I think Big Roommates 2 is more about Go-Go.
Yeah,
I think we've still we've been maintaining a good balance of screen time. We hit a certain point a few episodes back, and I think we've been maintaining.
Hell, I think if anything in this episode, kind of refreshingly, it's Hero and Baymax that kind of get to take the back seat. Would you guys agree? Like I'm not saying that is a bad thing at all. I'm saying it's nice to kind of get a cool down on them a little bit.
I mean, honestly, though the main story is focused on Go-Go, it's actually like each one of them has like something to contribute here. I mean, especially thanks to Obake and his scheme and his rooms. Like every single one of them has something to do, and how they play off of each other.
Okay, I will say if I had one nitpick with the episode, The Granville stuff is amazing and hilarious.
Oh my god, yes.
I just thought the payoff was a little bit weak. Like, I just felt like it was kind of like a waste of time for Fred and Wasabi.
The payoff was kind of cute. We did a smart thing.
It was cute. I was way more invested in the Honey Lemon and Go-Go side of things with the journal and everything.
Right, let's backtrack to the main plot of the episode before we get to that, just for a moment here.
Sure.
So, the main plot of the episode, again, I think we're even with again, my favorite stuff's obviously it's the Obake stuff, but even taking that out of the equation, I think we still have a solid episode here, where we have basically S-Fit versus S5, the art, San Francisco Art Institute.
Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure that's based on. I know that S5 is definitely the Academy of Arts.
Yes.
And if I had to guess, I would say that the University of San Francisco would be the SV.
And I think you're right. I think I read that somewhere that they skimmed.
I'm not sure about the SV of it all, but I definitely I'm sure that S5 is Academy of Arts.
That's what I'm saying. I think you're absolutely. That's the one I'm sure of though. The S5. That one I'm pretty sure is based on like the real place.
Yeah.
So basically what we do here, and of course I've been highlighting this with many of our episodes here. We kind of we take an element of the superhero and we take an element of the of again kind of what our showrunners McCorkle and Schooley have done before. We have the old school rivalry plot. The old school rivalry story and the age old plot line of like, hey, let's see where it's like the tradition of pranking the other school, like one of those stories, and. And what I love here is that
Robot House.
Well, it's more Animal House parody, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, same difference.
Something funny something funny. I mean, this is kind of unrelated. I mean, I just remembered something that happened with some of the high schools that were near my school.
Well, I mean, Jacob, if we're getting into that, I definitely think senior pranks is something that happened at my school. That's not exactly the same thing, but it's kind of in that kind of it's in that kind of tradition.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
I remember my senior prank, which I did not approve of or sign off on, and neither did a lot of other seniors, and it caused a big riff in my school, in my class that year. Was they cut down a goddamn tree.
Oh.
Yeah, it was not cool. It was not cool. Ooh, that was... Anyways, I'm sorry. Jacob, do you want to tell your story since I told my story? I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but I feel like it's only fair.
No, my story wasn't anything big. It was just like the rival school that I went... Not that I went to, but one of the rival high schools had this big projection on the side of their wall of their mascot, and that was stolen.
Nice.
It was projected at night, and it was stolen, and actually it was never returned.
Okay, so I love.
Are you sure it was a prank and not just random thievery?
Well, I think it was a prank. I mean, I never really figured out if it was a legit theft or anything.
I was thinking. That thing might have been legit theft. Okay, I just saw a projection, just a mascot, I just took it. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a prank. I mean, I don't really ever remember.
I don't really seem that funny. It just seems more like grand larceny to me.
It could be.
So I love the two rival mascots in Petaluma because they're both really inappropriate. You guys ready for them?
Sure.
Okay, so we have the Petaluma High School Trojans. So, yeah, just calling it like it is, Joshua Thomas, the Petaluma High School Condoms. Little condom joke for him. And then also we have, and this is the one where it gets really inappropriate. I'm surprised they haven't changed this. We have the Casa Grande High School Gauchos.
Huh.
So it's the condoms versus the racial slurs.
The Grande Gauchos.
The Grande Gauchos.
Huh.
All right. Anyway. Dragon, do you have a high school story?
No, I have no high school stories. Anyway.
Okay.
What was I getting on with that?
We're talking about the prank, the.
Right. So yes,
I'm sorry, folks. We just turned that into story time for a minute.
But yes, I love that we subvert a lot of obvious ground with the old kind of high school rivalry, kind of senior week, kind of like game day shenanigans between, in this case, colleges, but those high schools and just kind of rival schools and such. And I love the double entendre we have, like of course, our big, the superhero of it all is kind of the rivalry of your arch, kind of your arch rival, the arch enemy, kind of like making his grand entrance to the Big Hero 6, but at the same time. We have just kind of a school rivalry, and I love that we subvert all of our. To me, with the school plot, we subverted a lot of obvious ground and made a lot of smart choices. Like we made some great. There, I love that all of our
Granville is the most obvious example of that.
Yes, like, speaking,
where she was actually supportive of the.
Not only was she supportive. Oh my god, this. Pardon my French, but this bitch is a badass.
Yes, oh my god, Granville, she was a highlight of the episode. Okay, if not Obake,
I think she was what saved the Wasabi and Fred stuff for me.
Yes,
it's also kind of interesting that they were actually physically showed the other students at the Art Institute. I mean, they showed that one teacher, but they never really showed any of the other students, which I think was an interesting move too.
It was. Well, we saw the mascot though, and of course, we speaking of all the
mascot's like kind of like this Freddy Krueger style horror villain,
a snail,
or at least he's played that way.
Well, sure. So in Granville was a highlight. She was so entertaining. How she
I love camouflage animation, like where she walks in and out of the bushes.
Yes, that was great. I love that she went kind of all commando on Wasabi and Fred there. She's just kind of like she's giving all these orders. The camouflage gag is hilarious. Like camouflage. Dude, basically this gag where they're standing out in the open wearing their camouflage.
You want to tell me why camouflage is useful in standing against a wall?
It's not. So that was great. And her in the stealth suit's really fun. And just Granville was one of the episodes. And she was
like Granville. Like where are you? It's like I'm everywhere
and nowhere.
Granville was obviously she was a huge highlight. And again, the fact that she was in on it just made it very. Again, it's like we're not doing the obvious. Like Granville's not like the wet blanket at the party. She's not just like the authority figure. She's an authority figure with an edge and like an unpredictability about her. And again, Granville may have a larger role because again, from what we can speculate, Granville has a connection with Obake, which of course could be very interesting going forward.
Sure.
Now, let's see. So with the Honey Lemon of it all, I love Honey Lemon's story. I love that Honey Lemon has an interest in art because one, this makes sense with her gimmick of like the chemical balls. And again, if you're basically, I love how she can kind of live in both worlds of art and science. I think there's something beautiful about that, and just kind of the old, some of the old Pixar philosophies of art challenges technology, technology inspires the art, something along those lines. I think there's kind of something beautiful about kind of like how we kind of see that correlated somewhat here, where we have. Not only do we just thematically does that make sense for Honey Lemon, again using kind of her chemical prowess, which is kind of an artist, kind of an art in itself, and just literally how she expresses that technology in an artistic fashion. We also we've set up in the art museum episode beforehand Shimamoto, the Shimamoto exhibit and all that stuff. We had set that up before, and Honey Lemon was very knowledgeable about Shimamoto, and we paid all of that off here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her painting was actually the first hint at something else going on.
And with that too, with the painting in question. Speaking of which, again, a little closer with Obake here. I love that literally and thematically, with Honey Lemon's story and with Obake's story, we had that overlap between art and science, where Obake's plans, he needs these pieces of artwork, the keys from these famous artists to basically, the hidden code, like, the idea that Shimamoto, very similar to Honey Lemon, she had an interest in both fields, art and science, and through her art, she communicated this really next level technology, which is what Obake wants. And again, they're both kind of on a very similar journey, and it kind of made it, in a natural sense in the story, it made sense that those two characters, those two unlikely characters, you don't really think about Obake and Honey Lemon kind of tangling because we've been building up Obake versus Hero, and it's kind of a
that's kind what I'm saying. That's why it was refreshing that Hero kind of took a back seat this episode.
Yeah, And of course, we had like a lot of kind of old school, kind of almost Scooby Doo mystery stuff with them going through Shimamoto's house, and of course discovering the secret lair.
Not to mention the fake beard trifecta.
I love that we worked the Zoetrope into the episode when we saw the lair, you know, the little Zoetrope, and of course Baymax going through the museum is like, you know, art is messy, you know. And by the way, I do love all of Honey Lemon's art. I love like the group shots. Like there's this shot that she has like a little post-it note of a smile over Baymax's kind of empty face, which is delightful. It's like this painting that she made. She's really good artist, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I love the one we had. Oh, Nicole Sullivan had a cameo in this episode, by the way. You know, Shigo herself, Nicole Sullivan. You know, Mira Nova from Buzz Lightyear Star Command, Shigo from Kim Possible. She was the guide that told Honey Lemon, no book came in.
Nice.
It was there. By the way, Tiki, you're gonna appreciate this. We've been citing yet again with the main plot of all this, with the Shimamoto stuff. We referenced the big earthquake, the 1906 earthquake that's worked into the world building of the show here.
Yeah, you're right. I do love all that kind of like alternate history, San Francisco of it all. That's very cool.
So the big detail that we got with it this time around that might be interesting is that you can read the book like legibly before you do basically what Obake did, up to the day before the big earthquake. So I would my presumption is that this stuff was to basically rebuild San Francisco and basically basically stuff to advance San Francisco and make
Whatever
it
happened to that Brad Bird like 1906 movie we were gonna get?
I think it was essentially like shelved and moved to Warner Brothers.
Get on it, Brad Bird. I want to see that.
I don't know if you sure it went to Warner Brothers. That was just what you heard.
I mean, it was like a collaboration between Disney, Pixar, and Warner Brothers.
Okay, I didn't know about the Warner Brothers. Okay,
I think it was Warner Brothers, but I know like Disney and Pixar both abandoned the project basically.
That's a shame.
All right, that's sure it's
well, as far as I know.
Yeah, Brad Bird has like this laundry list of really interesting projects that unfortunately may not see the light of day. Not because he doesn't want to make them, but because the certain like studios have the rights to it. Like I think Warner Brothers, they own a lot of projects that Brad Bird was developing during his Iron Giant days, like Ray Gun. Ray Gun sounded like basically it was kind of like a Blade Runner detective thing that he was working on. It's like, oh my god, it sounded amazing. Looked great. It had like an Art Deco style to it. Anyway,
let's just be glad they never got The Incredibles.
Sure. Well, yes, you know things worked out for that. Yeah, that Brad Bird is the lucky stars that he lives under. Okay, let's see. If there's anything.
I just want to quickly point out how hilarious and adorable the sleep talking gag is.
Oh yeah, I love that too. Yeah.
Go. I'm taking classes at Alphi. Don't tell anybody. It's a secret.
And I wonder if Go-Go told everyone else. I mean, because everybody else revealed that they knew. So
I like to think they figured it out on their own, but you know, I like to think Go seems like a character with discretion.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's kind of obvious. So, like, they're probably like, okay, she's trying to hide it. She's probably doing something here.
Speaking of that, Jacob, I do with that and with just kind of all the kind of the Honey Lemon stuff with the end of Granville's story and the end of Honey Lemon's story. Again, I like that we took kind of we subverted the expectation where it wasn't like we respect your choice, Honey Lemon. It's like, well, no, the rivalry is just something kind of fun that we just kind of talk up. We have no genuine ill will. Like go do your art thing, no problem there. And of course Granville's like, I blame myself, you know, I should have I rushed you into this unprepared. Again, very smart kind of approach there. Therefore I'm going to train you even harder for next year. Again, that's Granville. You know, it's like step forward, maybe half a step back, you know. It's like she's getting there.
Yeah.
Great. Also Baymax turning into a chair was priceless.
Oh yeah.
Chair Max.
Oh, and I also love Baymax not getting any of Hero's references. Like, do you understand this now, Baymax? No. All right, we're gonna have to have a conversation later.
Yeah, of course.
Like the whole thing about a reproduction of Hero's room being creepy.
Yeah,
that is pretty creepy.
Yep. Again, it was their individual rooms, man. That still is creepy. It's like, oh god. All right. Well, I mean,
except for Honey Lemon and Go-Go, theirs was the library at Shimamoto's library.
Well, again, that's where they Go-Go and Honey Lemon, they were really kind of bonding in that moment. The whole secret that it's still kind of creepy regardless, but not in like their home. Yes, you're right. It's not. Wasn't
it's
literally
slightly less. It's only slightly less creepy.
Sure.
All right.
So
you guys want some episode titles?
Yeah, sure.
What do you guys think is like in the invisible? Like, what do you think the invisible link in the book is pointing to?
Well, I think again, my guess is that was all written after the big earthquake. So I think it might be like a grand plan of like how to rebuild the city, or maybe like a map to how to control the city somehow. That's a guess. Like again, if you're a villain, you want to like take over something, or basically there's got to be some sort of technological secret in that book.
I'm just wondering, what if Obake in the end like has actually noble goals?
That would be fascinating, and I'm all basically went kind of a Doctor Doom approach, where again he's a villain only because he just wants to rule the world and he thinks he can do a better job at it. That's kind of like a whole Doctor Doom appeal there, and I could buy that with Obake because again, just based on what we know about him, again based on that cryptic shot of like he was taught by Granville, there's absolutely a chance that as a student at SFID, he wanted to make a world a better place through technology. And looking at it that way, something went wrong along the way. So it's
and it's possible he's looking towards Shimamoto to do so.
Sure. Now, here's what I want to ask you guys, and here's a big theory here. The stylistic thing we keep doing with Obake, and by the way, hilarious scene where he terrifies that child after he breaks his glasses, his kind of scanning glasses. Well, speaking of that scene, stylistically, we keep doing this thing, and we've been building him up like this, and now we're kind of doing it regularly, and we terrified the kid with this. I'm wondering if this is his face goes kind of lights purple on one side, like kind of like a silhouette thing, purple on one side. Now, I wonder, is that technology that's built into his face, or is that just like a stylistic note? What do you guys think? You think it's like an actual thing, or do you think it's just an artistic choice?
I would guess it's an artistic choice, but I really haven't put that much thought into it, if I'm being honest.
They've been doing that with him since the beginning, so
I mean, the one thing that keeps me from saying it's a purely artistic choice. I mean, it most definitely is an artistic choice, but for the story reasons, I mean, it did. I mean, if you notice, the kid actually did notice it, so it's more than just artistic choice.
And there is a sound. Now, again, the sound you could perceive as it's just like again the compliment kind of the creep factor of like, oh my god, that's horrifying. Versus like, could it be actually when the device in his face is whirling up? Like for all we know, there could have been a lab accident that could have presumed him dead. Therefore, he dropped off the face of the earth, and maybe that's like the remnant. Again, more of a Doctor Doom parallel. Who knows?
I mean, for all we know, we could never actually figure out what it is.
Yeah, and again, he's
kind of like Dragon's blue skin.
Maybe, quite possible.
It was a Tuesday.
God, I love that so much. The fact that like that's where it's with the big cliffhanger. It's great. But yes, so I guess unless you guys have any episode titles, Tiki, episode titles, yes.
Yeah. Okay, episode 15 is Fan Friction. Episode 16 is Minimax.
I know what Fan Friction is going to be about. It sounds really fun.
Episode 17, big title here. I'm kind of worried that they're blowing their load on this title for a potential theatrical sequel. Big Hero 7.
Whoa, Big Hero 7. I wonder if it's Carmi.
Who knows?
Well, I know she's in Fan Friction.
Well, I know that. And that one looks really cute. I think they're doing like a chibi homage with the fan fiction. It's like, yeah, I'm down for that. But there's that episode in theory could always go wrong, folks. Every time it's like, oh, that could be really fun. Just be wary of it, okay? That episode could always torpedo very easily because you're walking a thin line. But based on the episodes that we've gotten so far, I have faith in it. So I'm optimistic. But there's always a chance the rug could be pulled out from under you on an episode like that.
All right, episode 18, Big Problem. Episode 19, Steamer's Revenge.
Ooh.
And then episode 20, big one that I'm looking forward to, The Bot Fighter.
I know one thing. A lot of these episode titles were not announced last time we kind of revealed episode titles. We got a lot of new episodes.
Yep.
I know the Bot Fighter one involves Honey Lemon.
Really?
Yeah, because I read an interview like before the official series came back, and it's like they were talking about like certain plot lines, and that one of the plot lines is that Honey Lemon got involved in an underground mech wrestling league or something along those lines.
I know one thing: we need more ant casts.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Aunt Cass. All right. Okay, final thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, thoughts again. I'm head over heels in this. Like plot wise, it's very strong. Again, this episode really it does no wrong for me. I'm love it. It's just the question if I love it more than Food Fight now because like, it's really neck and neck because I love them both, but for different. Again, like this episode doesn't have any Aunt Cass. If it had Aunt Cass, it'd be easily over Food Fight. But it's still really strong. It does everything right. Again, the Obake stuff and the Granville stuff. It cinches it. It's so good. It's so dense. It's so well plotted. There's good comedy. You can't miss with it. It's a rivalry. I don't quite get the week though. I'll admit that I don't
get that either. That's a minor nitpick, but whatever.
Take that out of the equation. You gotta love everything about the episodes. Like the one knock against it. Why wait?
I mean, quite frankly, a lot of the titles in this show haven't made much sense.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, remember, Killer App really didn't have anything to do with killers or apps.
Was Food Fight the actual name of the food of the cooking kind of debacle of the cooking kind of fights?
Yeah, that's actually the name of the competition.
Well, that one actually made sense then. So,
well, I mean, this is just like a play on words. Like, ooh, look at us, we're misspelling a word to make a pun.
Gotcha.
All right, Jacob, your final thoughts.
Again, as I said, very solid, very fun, very good episode in my opinion. Said probably like tied with Food Fight, but probably I would. I mean, maybe in retrospect, I'd put Food Fight at number 2 and tie this with Killer App. In retrospect, but I'll have to give it some more thought.
Yeah. Okay, folks, thank you so much for watching. I personally am on the edge of my goddamn seat for DuckTales, so we will definitely be covering that as soon as humanly possible this weekend. And of course, we'll be back Monday night. Sorry that we couldn't do it this Monday night. Sorry that this is coming on a Tuesday and not a Monday. Usually we are on Mondays, and we will be back next Monday night to cover the next Big Hero 6. I'm genuinely excited about this show now because of this episode. And in the meantime,
I'm everywhere and nowhere.
Don't tell anybody. It's a secret.